Hey guys, E from Glick with Glick Roofing Systems. Today, I'm going to show you something really cool. One thing that we run into a lot when we go out and we look at flat roofs is how much moisture is in it. If you take a core sample in one area, that's not telling you for the rest of the roof. And it's not a very good analysis of what is actually going on in the roof unless you just take a ton of core samples, and then every time you're taking the core, you're punching a hole in the roof, which we don't like to do if we don't have to. We recently invested in new technology that helps us determine down to the square foot, or even inch really, of how much moisture is in your roof system. It starts with this contraption here. This thing, we put it over the roof. You put little, you punch these little holes in there, and then it assesses the moisture content in the roof from whether it's a red for fullest saturation or orange or yellow or just minor. And then let's say if we do determine, we recently did a roof and we just take all of that across the roof. We have this technology that you can scan it in with, and then we put it in a grid report that can be shared with the owner that gives an overview of the roof, and every block shows whether it's dry or if it's wet or so forth. We recently did a roof and showed that it was about 13% of it was wet. The owner wants to do a roof restoration, a coating on his roof. And so our options would be, first off, if we had done a few cores, we would not have been able to assess exactly down to the square foot of what's wet and what's not. But after running this machine over it, we were able to then figure out what parts of the roof are wet. And it wasn't that simple as in, oh, it's just that corner of the roof. It was like you had a little bit here, you had a little bit over in the middle, some over here. And so that was really critical in helping us figure out like what we need to replace. So then the options become, well, do we cut out 13% of that roof and replace it, and then we restore the roof, which is typically what we would have done prior to having the system. But then there's another alternative. So in this case, it would have cost around $16,000 to cut out all of those wet spots in that roof and replace it with new material. That would just be before we ever, that's when we're prepping everything before we even coat the roof. But then the alternative to that would be this guy right here. And what this is a solar powered fan that has a fan in there. You can cut a hole in the roof over the wet areas. You mount this thing on there and it dries out the roof over time. And it just depends how wet it is for how long it's going to take. But then that dries out the insulation and gets everything where it needs to be. And then you can take this off, and then you pop on a one-way vent on that roof to where now that's not sitting on your roof. But it's just another tool that we use here to properly assess what is actually going on in your roof before we recommend whether or not it can be restored or if it has to be replaced. So if you find this helpful in any way, please comment below. If you have any questions, please comment below. Let us know what you think. Let us know how you think this will work. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and we'll continue to share our journey with different machines and ideas and tools and resources that we use to try to be the best there is in the field.